that you're not going to want to miss. I saw it, and I'll probably never miss it again if I can help it. It's magic. Actually, Jonathan here, our guest, may refer it to magic. He may refer it to something else. But it will freak you out. Do you like spooky stuff? You like Halloween? You like the out of the ordinary? Well, this show, it'll blow your mind. You will say, what's going on? I watched people freaking out. I myself freaked out. And it's the best. You like something different. It's not just going out to see a band or going out to dinner and blah, blah, blah. This is a truly unique experience handled by the best that there is, and you will have to drag your jaw out of the place because it's going to be on the floor. It's going to hit your jaw is going to hit the floor, and you're going to be blown away. So I can't keep repeating my praise. So let me introduce you to Jonathan Vale, who's bringing you a show called Magic Late at Night at the Rockwell Theater. I believe that's in Davis Square, right?
That's right. Yep, right next to the burn.
Now, I've seen the Rockwell show and I saw the Lily Pad show, and they just keep getting better. And I have given up trying to figure out how you do it.
I appreciate that.
And now, what my job here is to share the fact that this show is coming up, and that it is so unbelievable. You hear so much. Hear so much about online. It's amazing. This is amazing, 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 amazing. All that pales. That's nothing. This is spectacular. You're gonna freak out.
Thank you so much.
All right, now tell us. Now that I've built you up, now you tell us what the deal is. What can we expect?
Well, thank you so much for the kind words there, Bradley. Yeah, I mean, it means so much to especially anybody who's like an entertainer, an artist, when they hear people who respond so positively to their work. It just means the world to hear your kind words. So thank you. Magic Late at Night. This is a trippy, spooky trip back into the era of the 1970s, 1980s, particularly late night talk shows from that era. So I was inspired to create this show based off of watching old YouTube clips as a kid of psychics who would appear on like Johnny Carson and, all sorts of late night programs and display what they've reported to be their own psychic abilities. So there's a famous one with Uri Geller where he goes on Johnny Carson and appears to bend spoons and move things with his mind. There was another guy named James Heydrich who was going on different television programs, particularly in the late night talk show circuit, and apparently doing these things that they claimed were psychic. And I thought that this was just so fascinating because something about the idea of just passing out on the couch and then sort of like waking up at like 2 a.m. and looking at the television screen, and suddenly you're watching this late night talk show where a guy is doing psychic things, is bending spoons and moving things across the stage, and things are combusting or what have you. That was like the impetus for Magic Late at Night. So I was inspired by that. And it's all centered around a true story, right? So these psychics were going on television programs, and right on their heels were skeptics that were pretty much appearing on those same exact talk shows days later to try to expose what they saw was just magic tricks, not real psychic ability. So my goal is to bring you that retro talk show experience and that magic and that psychic vibe all in one jam-packed show. It's an experience. If I've done my job correctly, you should feel like you are the studio audience on a late night talk show, watching the host, who's a magician, taking over and doing these psychic things with the audience.
Do I have that scroll there right? Magic Late at Night, October 26th, Rockwell Theater. Is that correct?
That's right there. Yeah.
All right. So about the venue, the venue itself is different because it's not big. It's an actual theater, and you're close to the action, and the chances are, well, there are chances that you may be called upon to participate in these things. The last show I did quite a few people did get called upon, and they were all astounded. And also, there was one situation where folks actually had to win they had a chance to win a significant amount of money. You have
That's
this.
great.
Are you going to do that again?
Yeah. So in line with the retro talk show theme, one of the pieces in the show is a game show segment that sort of the whole vibe kind of switches, and now suddenly we're in this weird game show scenario where somebody is selected to potentially win $5,000, but it's a psychic game show. And without giving too much away, essentially, I bet that my skills of influence, my skills of subconscious influence with what I do with magic are so good that I would bet $5,000 of my own cold hard cash that I'll be able to win the game every time, and the participant won't walk away. But mistakes happen, so maybe.
But the participants, this is based upon decisions the participants make, the choices they make. Correct.
That's right. And yeah, without spoiling it too much for.
Okay, all right. I won't go any further.
But you're 100% correct. They make decisions in this game show, and if I'm good at what I do, if I'm good at influencing their decisions with body language, nonverbal communication, the money should be mine to keep. But who knows? Maybe this Saturday will be different.
So I don't want to step on toes and talk about any of the tricks or experiments. What do you call them? Tricks or experiments?
Yeah, I like tricks is fine because that's what most people call them. I sort of refer to them as pieces. Like I think about like this piece of the show. But yeah, tricks is fine. I'm not offended by the term like maybe some magicians might be. But
so what other pieces can you describe without ruining them?
Well, because the show is influenced from, the whole goal of the show is to recreate the same psychic phenomena that these psychics did on late night talk shows in the 70s and 80s. So the types of effects, the types of pieces that you might see a psychic do, apparent mind reading, right? Apparent seeing into the future, apparent predictions that they make that end up coming true, somehow picking up on details of audience members that there's no possible way they could know, somehow diving into the memories of audience members, maybe even memories that they hold close and that they don't want anybody to know about. That's a fun place to play. But I also balance that with my duty, my ethical duty, which is I never want anybody who comes to my show to feel embarrassed or to feel like they're put on the spot. So there are sort of guardrails in place, but I do give myself the opportunity to test out, if I can, look into their heads, figure out some embarrassing memories, even because it is a psychic themed show, some details about people from their life who have passed on to the other side. Now, this is all with the caveat that, and if I didn't mention it, I want to make sure I do, that I don't claim to be psychic at all, right? My whole modus is that I'm a magician. I use the 5 known senses to create the illusion of a 6th sense, right? So I'm recreating psychic phenomena, but I'm not claiming that it's psychic, right? I'm downright telling you at the beginning of the show that I am not psychic.
So there's a difference because, I just interviewed somebody recently who does past life regressions or knows people, and you're not getting them to have a past life progression, but you're emulating it and getting the same result through trickery or mastery.
Right.
And the people are genuinely dumbfounded, both in the audience and on stage. And do me a favor, whatever you do, don't call on me, because my most embarrassing memory, I don't want anybody to know. So nobody goes up against their will. You only go up if you want.
Yeah. I would never pull somebody up to the stage if they were resisting. Again, it's all voluntary theater, and it's an incredibly interactive show. And I think we're in a time right now where interactive entertainment is incredibly popular. people no longer, well, maybe they do, but people, you see the rise of things like escape rooms, which is a very like voluntary sort of participatory form of entertainment. And those are really big right now. Stand-up comedy nights. Comedy has seen such a huge boom lately. And a lot of that involves crowd work with the comedian in the audience. And now my show, all audience driven, right? I could not do this show to a brick wall. I have to have the minds of the audience to metaphorically swim through in order to create the show. Yeah.
And how did you? I always have to ask how you got into this. How does a person get into this? Is it something they, when they're 3, they see it on TV and say, "I want to do that"? Is it kind of that?
I think there were various stages. I think magic called to me at various points in my life, and not to make it sound like the hero's journey or anything, but there were definite times where I resisted that call, and definitely times where I answered that call. I like to in a cheeky sense, I like to say, my first ever magic trick, my first ever act was a disappearing act that I pulled off when I was 3 years old on a military base. I grew up at West Point Military Base in New York. My family was in the military. And one evening when I was 3 years of age, I decided I was going to disappear. So I got up from my bed. Who knows what time it was? I mean, when you're a kid, you don't know. It's just dark outside. Maybe, let's say, probably about midnight, because everybody else, actually, no, not everybody else had gone to bed yet. So maybe about 10, 11 p.m. So I sneak out of my bedroom. I had just been checked on by my parents, and I knew that they weren't going to check on me for maybe another 30 minutes or an hour, whatever interval. And I find a little side table in the hallway that has a tablecloth over it. And what I decided to do for some reason was I was going to play a game of hide and seek, but only I knew that the game was going on. Nobody else knew. So within the next 30 minutes to an hour, the alarm bell is sounded. My parents realize, where the hell's John? They start looking around, John, start calling my name, and I'm sitting under that table hearing it all unfold and just chuckling. And because it was on a military base, whenever there's a missing child, they actually close the doors. They close the gates. They close the the gates where you have to check in. Excuse me. So they shut down the military base so nobody could enter or exit. As everybody is frantically going around looking for me, my father gets in his car and drives to a nearby lake that we like to fish in at the time, thinking that maybe I had gone fishing in the middle of the night on a little solo trip. So once I felt like all the calamity was just a little bit too much, I decided to finally reappear for everybody. And there I stood at the top of my staircase, and at the bottom of the staircase on the platform, probably about 20, 30 stairs down, I see this very tall military police officer speaking to my 2 parents who have their head in their hands and they're crying. And I just go, "Hey guys." And boy, were they upset.
Did you get in trouble? What was the result of that?
Honestly, I probably should have gotten in way more trouble than I really did. But I think I just got a little shaking from my sister and just a little, "Don't you ever do that again." But
what did you tell him? Did you tell him you hid, or did you tell him you disappeared and went to another dimension? What did you tell him?
Well, I think I told them that I hid. And even at one point during it, I wanted to give them a little hint. I forgot to mention this. So I stuck my leg out, my little, 3-year-old leg in a onesie, just jutting out from that table. And they still didn't see it wherever they were looking. So I was like kind of giving them hints. But I think, other than just being a story of me being mischievous, it sort of underscores that I've always liked to create mystery. And although that's a scenario where it's at other people's expenses.
Another way is to say you like freaking people out because you freaked out your parents.
I do. I like to do things that get a reaction from people. Obviously within, I want people to, I would never do something like that now, but I want people to, I always talk about, I want my show to be an experience, right? There are magic shows you can go to that are just trick after trick after trick with no real tying undercurrent of a story. But I've never really been satisfied with that. I've always wanted to bolster my magic with a compelling story, and now a compelling theme, and being the retro talk show, right? The theme. I even have a mustache on stage. The rest of this beard will be gone. But I've always just wanted.
Did you grow that beard since the last show?
I did. Yeah.
Wow,
Yep.
that's impressive.
And then once I shave it for the mustache, I'll probably shave the stash the next day, because just having the stash walking around in public, no offense to anybody, it's just I don't know if it suits me well. But yeah, that's sort of the first disappearing act I ever did. And then my grandfather, I was very lucky to have a grandfather. I think a lot of kids had a grandfather or an uncle or some sort of older member of the family who would show them magic tricks when they were a kid. And I was so lucky to have a grandfather who was just as mischievous as I was, if not even more so. And he was like, 70, 80 years old. He was a prankster, this man. But he showed me my first ever magic trick when I was 5 years old. He made a butter knife disappear out of the palm of his hand. I was sitting at the dinner table right next to him. And from what I remember, he put the butter knife in his hand, covered it with his other hand, and then boom, it was gone. And yeah, he probably just, who cares? He might have thrown it under the tablecloth. I was a little kid. I probably looked away for a second and looked back, and then it was gone. But that doesn't matter, right? It's the mystery that it left me with. And
Right, whatever it takes.
yeah.
All right, and talk a little bit more about the show, the venue. To it's first of all, it's easy to get to. You can drive there, or you can. I take the T myself. At Davis Square, really cool area. It's right beside the Burren, right?
That's right. Right next to the Burren. There's another restaurant called the Foundry that it's right next to. It's right across the street from a Chipotle and a Starbucks. It's right in the middle of all this action. And I love that area of Somerville, because you get the sense, Davis Square area of Somerville, because you get the sense that it's a very artistic area, and people are down for alternative things, down for alternative forms of entertainment, down for artistic experiences. So I feel quite free to, express myself in that wonderful venue, the Rockwell. I have to give a huge shout out to Debbie Chiadini, who is the curator of talent at the Rockwell, for giving me a chance all the way at the back of the beginning of this year for my first show there. She is an incredible, like I said, a curator of the talent that they bring through there, because she brings through talent that fits their motto, which is funny, dark, or smart, right? Or all of the above. Funny, dark, smart. And I'm so happy and so lucky that when I first pitched her the show idea, she thought it checked those boxes. It's a beautiful underground, they call it the bunker as a term of endearment. It seats about 200 maximum. So you can cram quite a bit of people in there, but it is intimate enough, like you said, that you're quite close to the performer, and I can still see everybody. I can still look everyone in the eye, which I think is important to me.
Yeah, you think about, well, how big is a 200 seat venue? The Paradise, it's way, 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 way small. It's like 1/5 the size of the Paradise.
Right.
It's a real theater. You feel like you're in New York, in some New Yorky kind of theater.
Right.
And I just want to say that I hope that Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel and all those people see your act, or see 5 seconds of it, because as soon as they do, you're going to be on. And I want to be able to say, I told them to do that, and I want to see you there.
Well, I appreciate that so much, and I hope that for future John and future Bradley, I can clip that little 5 seconds of you saying that, and I can play it on their show. I would love to do that someday. So
okay, yeah, of course. And I'm trying to. Oh, the other thing is, look, folks, I know how it is. You say, "Oh, I'm going to go to that," but if you don't put it in your calendar right now, you'll forget. So, do me a favor and pull out your phone and stick it in your calendar and put a couple of alerts there. Because if you don't, you'll forget, and you'll book something else, and you'll go, "Oh, I wanted to go to that show, but now I promised Uncle Jimmy that I'd go to his house." But put it in now, and you can tell Uncle Jimmy, oh, I'm sorry, but I have an obligation. I have a thing I have to go to. You
Right.
won't. I just don't think you're going to regret it. You're going to say, oh my God, I'm going to go to all of these. Is there anything I'm missing?
Well, not really. I know it is sort of a weekend that people celebrate Halloween, right? But the great thing about the time slot, because the show goes from 7 to 8, you still have plenty of time after the
Oh,
show
yeah.
to celebrate Halloween. You can still go out with your friends, get dressed up. You can still get dinner, right? So the show might be on a night that people celebrate Halloween, but what better way to sort of get the spooky juices flowing than to literally watch somebody read your mind and do crazy stuff like maybe drink blood and, break shot glasses and see into the future and tell you your future and do all these crazy stunts. And then it ends at a perfect time where you can then talk with your friends about it, tell everybody out at Halloween parties what you just saw. So I think it's a convenient time.
Right. And the style of the presentation is kind of Halloweeny. It's consistent with a Halloween vibe.
Yeah,
And if you happen to be going out in your costume later, you certainly can wear the costume there
absolutely.
on
In
the
fact,
way and show it off. That's
I
the
would
thing.
love that.
You'll be able to show it off. And people can meet you, right?
Absolutely.
After the show, come up and say hello. It's not one of these things where you can't, but
No, they can absolutely meet me. I always love talking to people, and because all these hours go into creating a show, but the real proof of the pudding is what the audiences say. Because if you did a good job, they'll tell you, and if you didn't do a good job, they'll either say nothing or they'll tell you as well. So
what do
it's
people say? They really say, "Oh, you didn't do a good job." They come up and say that.
well, I've been lucky enough to be, I think, hard enough on myself to not put out a product that has
Okay.
ever really gotten negative reactions. I think my harshest critic actually is myself.
But
Uh,
people do come up and say, "Oh my God, that was unbelievable."
yeah,
And I, time and time again, I see some people who have come up on stage. Sorry, I almost have to sneeze. Some people who have come up on stage to do the thing, and they just go, "Oh." You can just see their minds pop.
oh yeah. I've
It
seen
must
people
be
make
so
the
much.
sign of the cross and all sorts of fun reactions. And
It must be fun for you. Well, all the best, and I can't wait to go see it. There are a lot of regulars that go, and you never know who you're going to see there. The location's cool. The show is unbelievable. The price is right. It's all good. And should they get tickets? They should get tickets in advance, right? If you can.
yes, yes. So tickets in advance, go to therockwell.org. So that's the Rockwell, exactly as you see it spelled in the ticker down below, therockwell.org. Click on their calendar. You'll see October the 26th. You'll see my show. And from there, you'll be able to buy tickets. I highly, highly encourage you to buy tickets in advance, because if it's sold out, there's no guarantee that there will be add-ons at the door or anything like that. So
Right.
definitely get your tickets online.
And to remind you, what's this? This is the 21st, so the 26th would be
5 days.
5 days. What night of the week is that?
That's this Saturday night.
This Saturday.
Doors open at 6:30, so come on by at 6:30. Get your seat, get a nice drink. There's also a bar right inside the venue, so you can get a cocktail, a beer, whatever floats your boat. Then find your seat, hang out, chat with your friend while the opening stuff happens, and then show starts at 7.
Okay, I'll see you there. Please, if you recognize me, come up and say hello, and I'd like to meet you as well. Jonathan Vale, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bradley. Thank you so much.
And everybody share this, because all of you know somebody that would be into this. So don't just hide this under a bushel. You say, "Oh, I know Billy would like this." Share, send it to him as soon as possible on whatever platform that you happen to see this on. Did I have any comments? Yeah. Oh, John Logan, who works with you on Chachi's Beetle Come Together program. You guys are, in cahoots there.
That's right.
Grab your tickets here before they sell out, which is true because it's a small venue. And then he gives a big long URL, which no one would
Oh,
ever.
great. Thank you, John, for doing that. I'm not able to see the comments right now,
You
but
can see it, but
oh,
it's-
perfect.
I
Thank
don't
you.
know. It's not really clickable. So that go to Rockwell Theater and find your event and buy the tickets.
Yes, yes.
See you there, John Logan. By the way. Okay,
Thank you.
man.
And big shout out to John Logan. He has been my mentor and business partner for the past few years, and so I wouldn't be where I am without him. So thank you, John.
Okay, I'll see you then. Then. Bye,
Thank you,
John.
Bradley.
Yep. Bye bye. Don't leave though yet. I just want to say bye.